Good day mga kamatiks! Kamusta kayong lahat dyan? Dito naman ako si Sir Novero at welcome sa ating panibagong video. Sa last video natin, we talked about quadratic equations. No? Yung introduction ng quadratic equation, the definition, the parts of it, okay, properties. Now, in this video, we're going to talk about extracting square roots. So what is extracting square roots? So it is one way of solving quadratic equation, right? Finding the solution of the quadratic equation. But again, I've said in the last video, there are two types of quadratic equation: the incomplete and the complete quadratic equation. So in the incomplete quadratic equation, if you still remember, you have this form, no? X squared plus c equal to 0. No? Why is it incomplete? Because, okay, it's incomplete because the linear term is missing, or the value of b is 0. Alright? So one way, or for us to solve this kind of equation, we have to use the extracting square roots. Alright? So basically, ito yung ano niya, form niya pag nag-move ka ng constant sa kabila ng equation. So, why is it k? You can use c man. So, it depends on what variable are you going to use. So, this time I'm going to use k as the representation of that number. C here is the constant man. So, that is why I use k so that we can name or represent these numbers as to a different notion. So, here, we extract square roots and then we use the properties to identify the roots of, or the nature of the roots of these equations. No? So again, these are the properties. If k is, first one is k, if k is greater than 0, then x squared has two real solutions or roots. No? So pag si k daw is positive, 1, 2, or any decimal, as long as it's positive, may dalawang solution. There are two real solutions or roots. If k is 0, then there's only one real solution, which is 0. Okay? If k is less than 0, which means that the values of k are negative, it has no real solution, okay, or roots. Okay? So you only have to remember these three, okay, when you solve the quadratic equation. And then using extracting square roots. Okay, so let's proceed to the examples. First example is x squared minus 25. So first things first is you have to consider that it's not yet in the form of x squared equal to k, right? So you still have to put it like that, okay? So basically, you have to move or you add something so that ma-isolate the quadratic term. So this time, the quadratic term is not isolated. So we have to do something. So we have to add 25 from both sides, alright? So pag nag-add ka dito, add 25, add ka dito ng 25. Basically, when negative 25 plus 25, it becomes 0. And then 0 plus 25 is 25. That is why it becomes x squared equal to 25. And notice that 25, or the value of k, is greater than 0, right? Is it greater than 0? Of course, it's greater than 0 because it's positive, alright? So, positive siya. So, that means that the nature is then x squared, k is greater than 0, then x squared equal to k has 2. It has two real solutions, no? So, now you have a hint of what you are looking for, right? So, let's solve. Upon solving, we have to use the square root principle, no? So, plus or minus square root of 25. So you notice that it is already x squared here. So I already assume that na taken na yung square root. So x equal to plus square root of 25. And now we take the square root of 25, which is 5. And then we solve or separate the plus or minus since dalawa to, no? Plus or minus. So x sub 1 is positive 5 and x sub 2 is negative 5. Now for the checking, okay, x squared minus 25. Actually, I use this part of the solution. So you can also use the first equation. So 5 squared is equal to 25, and then which is true. Okay? And then negative 5 yung sa kabila. Negative 5 square is also equal to 25, which is also true. Okay, let's go to the next example. X squared plus 4 equal to 102. Again, it's not yet in x squared plus equal to k, right? So we have to do another, we have to do or do something so that it becomes or it will be in this form, no? So now, so that we will get rid of the 4 on the left side and we'll put it on the other side, so we have to subtract 4, no? Subtract 4. So 4 minus 4, that's 0, and 102 minus 4, that's 98. So after subtracting 4, you notice that the value of k is greater than 0. So if it's greater than 0, again, the nature, the hint of the roots is it has two real roots or solution. So now we take the square root principle. Okay, use the square root principle, and then notice that 98 is not a perfect square. Almost a perfect square, but not a perfect square. The next perfect square then is 100 man, but this one 98, it's not a perfect square. But it has a factor, okay, which is a perfect square. Okay? 49, then yung partner niya is 2. So 49 times 2, that's 98. Now, we take the square root of 49, which is 7. So plus or minus 7 square root of 2. And then we separate. X sub 1 is 7 square root of 2. The other one is negative 7 square root of 2. Now, for the checking part, you do it by yourself na lang, no? So, I have already checked it anyway. Okay. So, for the checking, you have to substitute it here. I'll show you one lang. So, 7. So, this equation. 7 square root of 2 square plus 4 equal to 102. Now, 7 square is 49 times 2. Yeah, that's 98. Diba? Plus 4. So, 98 plus 4. Yan, hindi na masyadong makita. So, basically, it's 102. Diba? Check nyo na. Ganon din dito sa kabila. Okay, next example is 2 quantity x plus 2 square equal to 50. So there are times that there will be coefficients in x here and also on the outside of the parentheses. So if you encounter this kind of equation, just take it as a whole yung sa laman ng quantity, no? Yung sa gitna ng quantity. So take it as a whole, parang isa lang siya, no? So now to get rid of this coefficient, we have to divide both sides. Divide 2 from both sides, no? So, mag-divide ka. Okay, so, pag nag-divide ka, cancel nito, 50 divided by 25, by 2, that becomes 25. On both sides then, from on both sides. So, x plus 2 square equal to 25. After that, you now take, notice that k is greater than 0, right? So again, it has two real solutions. So now we take the principal square root, no? Principal square root, and then we cancel this one on both sides na yan. So ang matitira is x plus 2 plus equal to plus or minus square root of 25, which is 5. Now we simplify, and then we subtract 2 from both sides so that mag-get rid na si x, no? So yan, plus or minus 5 minus 2. And then we separate so that, kasi dalawa to plus and minus. 5 minus 2 is 3, and then negative 5 minus 2 is negative 7. So for the checking, you can do it by yourself now. Let's go to example number 4. 10x squared minus 160 equal to 0. So again, I have already said earlier, there are times that there will be coefficients of x, no? So x of the quadratic term. So you have to do something so that it will reduce or will be reduced to 1. Yeah. So basically, gawin natin tong form na to, no? So we have to add something 160 so that it will be moved to the other side. Right? Add 160 from both sides. So we add 160 from both sides, and after that we now divide, right? Divide ka. Divide ka ng 10 sa magkabila. Kasi nga, you have to put it in 1 na lang yung coefficient. So 160 divided by 10, it's basically 16. So x squared equal to 16. Notice that 16 is greater than 0, so it has two real solutions. Then we divide, then take the square root of x squared equal to plus or minus of 16. So the answers are x equal to plus or minus 4, which is x sub 1 equal to 4 and x sub 2 is negative 4. Next, 3x squared plus 5 equal to 5. So notice, pag nag-subtract ka ng 5 dito, diba magiging 0? Diba 0 is equal to 0. So if k is 0, then x squared has one real solution or root. Okay, kasi pag tinake mo yung square root, wala naman, di ba? So, pag square root ng x square x, pero square root ng 0, 0. Hindi naman plus is 0, hindi naman negative. So, basically, x is just equal to 0. Isa lang yung solution niya. Okay? Gets niyo ba? So, ganun din sa number 6, no? Pag nag-move ka, nag-add ka ng 10 dito, nag-add ka ng 10 sa kabila, so magiging negative 16 na lang yan, di ba? So, matitira, and then notice that negative 16 is less than 0. So, the nature is, it has no real solution. Because if we try to solve, because, by the way, the last example, isa lang yung binigay ko kasi nga, medyo obvious naman, di ba? Kung square ng 0, 0 lang din naman. Okay, dito, dalawa yung example ko, no? So, notice that yung k mo is negative 16. It's less than 0. Alright? So, if it's less than, that means no solution. Kasi nga, pag tinake mo yung principal square root or square root principal, plus or minus square root of 16, is there a number that when you square it, result niya is negative 16? When you square the number, the resulting number is negative 16. So, di ba wala? So, if there's no number that there are no real number when squared gives negative 16, thus, equation number 6 has no real solution at all. Okay, so yan yung sagot nyo. No solution at all. Okay, so yan, nauna na ngayon. Thanks for watching. Okay, so last example, 5p squared plus 20 equal to 5. Okay, 5p squared equal to negative, pagkatapos dyan, we subtract 20 on both sides, diba? Subtract 20. Diba? And then, matitira 5p squared equal to negative 15. So, no, and then after that, we divide both sides by 5, diba? 5. So, that's not 3, that's 5. Okay? So, p squared equal to negative 3. Basically, notice that negative 3 is less than 0. So, sa number 3 na property, if k is less than 0, then the equation has no real solution at all. So, kasi pag tinake mo yung square root ng negative 3, wala namang number na pag in-square mo, when you square that real number, it gives you negative 3. That means the equation number 7 has no real solution at all. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe and click the notification bell.